private school. Everyone in the private school, it's a really small private school. And I knock on this door, and the mom comes out, and I know it's Carrie. And people told me that she's kind of like disabled, so I don't know what that really meant. And so I don't know what, I think she had a stroke or something like that, but she also doesn't have any teeth. She's like, the whole thing was just kind of annoying. I was like, okay, do you want to get dad? And she's like, I do your education with that. And I'm like, I'm sure you do. Okay, do you get dad home? She's like, I can do it. And I was like, okay, sure. So then like I gotta go into the whole thing. I'm like, are you sure like dad's not in there? Like I was like, Aaron, you wanna come out here? He's like, oh, I do want. He comes out, he sits down, and he's in sales. So I do like the whole sales talk. I'm like using hella names. The principal of the private school, Kim. I'm like, yeah, Kim loves this, they love that, they love that, they love that. At the end, I'm like prize building up everything, and I'm like prize building up platinum at this point, and he's like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, so I'm like, yeah, so instead of being like, $5,000-$6,000, it's literally just 4 payments of, what is it, $350, or like that. And then he's like, I really don't think we use it. Man, you're a hell of a salesman. I think we should do it. Okay.
Why'd you buy them? Good sales.
I don't think we'll use them, but man, that was good.
I got a good story. Nice. So, this was my very last sit down of the day, and it was my pretty much only customer the whole day. But I the whole entire time they were talking about wanting to send their kids to private school because they don't like the public school education and how they don't talk about God, and they want their kids to learn a certain thing. So I sold them like a kid's book package, and then we were taking the selfie for it, and I was like, oh, and they already paid and everything. I was like, oh yeah, and by the way, we have this like family Bible library. I don't know why I done with the whole time. And he's like, oh, you wouldn't happen to have those in your car either, would you? And mind you, I've literally never sold a family Bible library. Not all last summer, not all this summer until this. And so I don't really know how to sell them, to be honest. And so we were both just I brought them in, and we were both just looking through it together, and he's like, yeah, so how do you use these? And I was like, yeah, I think that we were just flipping through it, trying to figure it out together. One of the books was printed upside down. I just hid it. But anyways, and then he's like, so how many of these have you sold? And I was like, honestly, none. And he's like, okay, well, yeah, I think you just sold your first one. I was like, cool. Just let him see it.
That's how you sell off
Yeah.
deals. You just
And he's like, well,
he's like, really? So isn't that awesome? You're like,
yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, we'll just write you another check for this one. I was like, okay, cool.
I had a same story as that. I had 2 grandparents. They looked exactly the same. So I knock in the morning, and they're like, oh yeah, come back later when my sister's here. I knock, and I'm like, yeah, I was talking with you, and it was 2 minutes. I thought it was the same lady, but they were sisters. I'm like, you don't remember me? I was here a couple hours ago. Come on, let's sit down. She's like, oh, that was my sister. So I do the whole thing. They're about to drive to Arizona, and they're just total ace grandparents. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to show my grandkiddos. Wrap up, do everything, and then they start talking about God, and I'm like, oh wait, we do have these atlases, or no, I already added on the atlas. And then I was like, oh, let's have these FBLs too, and she's like, yeah, let's just do that one. And no payments, I'm gonna forget about them anyway. Let's just do them all. I'm like, fuck yeah. Nice. Same thing.
Yeah, just because you already closed and they wrote you a check doesn't mean you can't sell more.
Tack on.
Live that court. So, I do